graduating from the high school in 2004. Christopher obtained a bachelor's degree in liberal studies from Lincoln University, followed by his Master's of Science degree in biomedical sciences, and then his doctorate of osteopathy at the Kansas City University College of Osteopathic Medicine. His family medicine residency was completed through the University of Missouri, Kansas City, where he became the chief resident during his final year. Dr. Painter has received board certification in allopathic and osteopathic family medicine. Jefferson City is where Dr. Painter resides with his lovely wife Cynthia and their 2 children, Viviana and Isaias. Dr. Painter currently practices in Tipton and Versailles with SSM Health of St. Mary's Medical Center. He is on the Board of Trustees and a Wetzel Scholar with the Missouri Association of Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons, a board member with the Missouri Society of American Osteopathic Family Physicians, and is a member of the American College of Osteopathic Family Physicians, American Academy of Family Physicians, and the American Osteopathic Association. Wow, I'm glad that I got through that. Having been Christopher's math teacher, I can tell you that he was a very driven student, and he knew where he was going, but he was always full of energy, and he was always a lot of fun. So, very, very smart individual, but very driven and a hard worker. Mr. Henderson also taught him science, so we just want to put that out there, math and science right there. What I'm really excited about is the journey that he took, and I read just a little bit of that, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more about how he got where he is today. So we are very, very excited, and without further ado, Dr. Christopher Painter.
Thank you for the introduction. It's actually pretty humbling and kind of crazy to think about how I used to sit on that side and now to be on this side. It's very humbling. So thank you. So like I said, my name is Dr. Christopher Painter, and I'm an Eldon graduate, class of 2004. And they asked me to come speak. And the honest thing is that most of the time, with all these speeches you're going to deal with, you're probably not going to remember me. You're not going to remember anything I say. But if you do, the one thing I do want you to remember is that it's going to get a lot harder before it gets better, but it will get better. And that's pretty much the gist, in case you fall asleep at some point. Just remember that part. So, and like she said, on May 9, 1985, in Chongqing Port, Lotengcheng, Taiwan, my brother and I, we were found in a park at 10:15 p.m. The police found us. We were adopted through the Home of God's Love in Taiwan, and then through the local church in Eldon, Ninth Street Christian Church. My parents were able to adopt us, and then, one would grow up to be pretty awkward and, have huge glasses, huge head. That's me, by the way, just hanging there. But, would struggle to find purpose in life, and it wasn't until his senior year in high school when he became a Christian that he would actually find direction and figure out where he wanted to go in life. He then later, go to college, Lincoln University, initially as a nursing major, and then changed his mind, and then later decided to go to medical school. As a result, I got in a hurry, and as a result, I didn't prepare appropriately. Didn't score that well on entrance exam to get into medical school, so I took some time extra to get a master's degree before actually matriculating into medical school. And then, I later would change my intent of my specialty, and then actually from there I'd actually score pretty well on boards, and as a result become kind of arrogant from that and be the reason I didn't get into my preferred residency program. So how I got here, it's pretty interesting. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. How I got here was not the traditional way by any means. It was definitely not by my own accord, but by the grace of God, really, that I'm here today. It's easy to be able to look at our lives and at one point and just say how can these things be happening? But if we look at things through God's eyes, we can see that there are bigger plans for each and every one of us. Tonight, I'm surrounded by all the brightest in this area, and a lot of you are going to leave the school and do some pretty amazing things. But sadly, not all of you will. Some of you will hit a speed bump in life and you'll decide that your dream's just not that worth it. Or you'll decide that your personal comfort is better. Your personal pleasures are worth more than enduring some little pain. Now, a lot of you had to work pretty hard to be here, and congratulations. Some of you are just naturally smart, and that's great. But without that proper discipline, that can only get you so far. See, I grew up, when I went through school, I was actually pretty arrogant. School just kind of came easily to me. And then my senior year in high school, my first year at Lincoln, I took physics, and actually that's when I got my first F. And my whole world was shattered. I had to decide at that point, I had to decide what did I want out of life. Now, fortunately for me, my professor for physics had office hours. At the same time, I had a break at 10 a.m. So for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for that hour, I brought a desk outside his office, and I just bombarded him with questions, and then just forced him to teach me physics, and so I could learn and understand what was expected of me. A lot of you will meet challenges that you've never seen before. And some of you would rather listen to haters more than you listen to people who have built you up all this time. The difference between you becoming great and just mediocre will be that drive, that discipline to do the same thing over and over again until you get it right. Now, see, I've been told by a lot of people, say, Chris, I'm just not a morning person. Chris, I'm just not good at blank. Or, I just hate my job. But sometimes you have to be willing to make sacrifices right now so you can be able to enjoy life later. Now that means not going out tonight so that you can be able to get up early, go to practice. That means not staying up and playing video games or watching TV so you can study. In Colossians 3:23 it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for man. And what that means is that whether you're taking out the trash or writing a paper, it doesn't matter. You have to, whatever it is that you're doing in life, you have to do it with all your heart and to your best ability so that it can be to the glory of God. And life isn't going to be that easy, and it doesn't mean that when you're the best, you do your best, it doesn't mean you're going to be the best. There's always going to be someone better than you. You just need to make sure that whatever it is that you do it in a way so that your boss has no choice but to keep you around, because you just do it in a way that makes you unique. Now, another thing you need to remember is that just to not be afraid of little pain. I always tell, when I work with medical students, I always tell them not to cry in front of their superiors, just out loud. Now, that's not saying that I don't want you to cry. I think it's important to be in tune with your emotions. When I had my first patient die on me in residency, I cried every day for a week. It was hard, but you had to get over it. Now, but the thing is, when you cry in front of your superiors, suddenly the way they're teaching you changes. The way they look at you is never the same. Now, assuming your superior actually has a heart, he or she will usually suddenly take it easier on you. They'll look at you differently. The way they speak to you changes. And suddenly they will no longer challenge you in the way that you need to be. And they won't push you in the way that you need. I just tell them, you go to the supply closet, cry your eyes out, clean yourself off, you go back up there, work harder, and act like nothing happened. The more challenges you're willing to accept, and the more failures you're willing to endure, the stronger you'll be. Even Dr. Seuss's first book was rejected by 27 publishing companies. Even Walt Disney was fired from his newspaper company because he lacked imagination or he didn't have any original ideas. So just don't be afraid to fail, because that's when you learn the most. Now, lastly, I just want to say, just kind of like what everyone's been saying, but just don't forget where you came from. A lot of people had to make sacrifices for you to be here tonight. And that may mean less sleep on those people. It may mean financial sacrifices so you could get more training. And let's be honest, the people who took care of you, they could have saved their money, and they could have done some amazing things for themselves. But they did it for you. That doesn't mean you owe them anything. It just means you have to be grateful for what they've done for you. So I just want to take this second and just, thank my family and my friends for being there for me, for pushing me. But most of all, I want to thank my teachers for believing in me and allowing me to be who I am today. Now, when you look at that program in the introduction, that's just a small glimpse of the accomplishments I've had in my lifetime. The doctorate degree that I hold is our doctorate degree because you guys have been a part of that. So I just want to take this moment and say to the teachers, I pray that you haven't lost that fire you had when you first started teaching, and know that while you pull your hair out, most of us, you do make an amazing impact in our lives. Thank you.